Hello viewers and welcome to BVJW, shining light, that ever increasing new light on Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, usually in a good way, although in this video this is a bad thing that we're going to talk about. So what is it all about? For those of you that don't know, there was an activist on YouTube. He didn't wake me up, but he did wake a lot of people up. He did a lot of good work. Sometimes when people are assholes and narcissistic, they can come across as the sweetest, nicest, loveliest people. And I've come across, unfortunately, a few people like this. They have what's called a split personality disorder. It is really a disorder. They can be the nicest person to the average person in the street, but then they can be truly evil to their family back home or in their private life in some way. They can be a completely different animal. And I have come across many people like this. For example, I knew somebody that would shout and scream for 5 or 10 minutes at a time at people that worked for him. But then if somebody wanted to come to his shop and buy products off of him, he'd come across as the nicest person ever. See, so people can have this split personality thing going on. Okay. So with this particular activist, I don't want this video to be any longer than it has to be. I'm going to try and keep this to 5 minutes or less. With this particular activist, people thought they were giving him money on Patreon to fund his personal living expenses. That's feeding his family, keeping a roof over his head. Yes, maybe going on holiday, just normal holidays, or any expenses certainly to do with activism when travelling abroad. To fund paying for the editor, the studio and the equipment. People were led to believe they were giving this guy money for activism and paying his wages, his salary. If they knew that their money was being used on illegal activities or just somebody wanting to get wasted, completely drunk and completely high and then spending his money, yes, on hookers that are in a country where that's A, illegal, and B, we know most of the workers in Thailand are so poor they have to do that to feed themselves. So that's taking advantage of people, taking advantage of their situation for your own satisfaction, so that you can feel control or whatever people do it for. So they can feel control over women or whatever it is, the reason that people have for using hookers in Thailand. I don't know. It's disgusting. Now, there's some other things, some other criminal activities not involved in Thailand or Croatia, and I'm not going to comment on those in this video. I know them to be true, but all I'm going to say is before you tweet me, and I've received these tweets and I'm pissed off, before you tweet me, oh, well, you can't hold a non-Christian or an atheist to Christian standards. He's not a Christian anymore, Listen, I'm not even holding a Christian to Christian standards. I'm certainly not holding an atheist to Christian standards. I'm fully aware he's an atheist. On another YouTube channel that he was a guest on, he called atheist idiots. Okay, so he called Christians or he called believers idiots on another YouTube channel. So I know he's an atheist. He's made that abundantly clear. And I'm not holding him to moral standards in terms of what the Bible says. Okay, never did. Okay, I don't know where you get that straw man argument from. I'm simply saying when people have been led to believe their funds are going to one thing, and they wouldn't have donated if they'd actually known their funds are going to not only illegal activity, but a legal activity that ultimately is harmful for the community of the world. Not only is it harmful to his wife because she could get an STD, but it's harmful for humanity to be supporting illegal trafficking of women. It's harmful. And that isn't even half the story. This story starts in 2008 or before. and that, when we talk about illegal activities with this particular ex-Jehovah's Witness. So that's all I'm prepared to say on the matter. That is my final word. I'm not going to give somebody a platform who doesn't deserve a platform anymore. And we need to move on when it comes to the ex-JW community. As I say, he didn't wake me up. He woke others up. He has done good work, but he's just blown all the good work he's done. Branch offices around the world are having a good laugh now at his expense. Talk about digging yourself into a hole. I mean, he's really, the way he's handled it has made him worse for himself as well. If anyone has ruined his family, it's him. And it's not just about him ruining his family. His private life's none of our business. I get that. But when it comes to illegal activities, particularly activities that harm humanity in general, I think we all have the right to know. And so this is very embarrassing chapter for the ex-JW community, but let's put it to one side. Let's move on. Yes, I called him a cunt on Twitter. I'm sorry if that offended anybody that I used bad language, and I'm sorry if I mentioned sex trafficking on... No, I'm not sorry that I mentioned sex trafficking on Twitter. People need to know. And so, and if I had been the one that spoke up about him on Reddit, I would have gone way more nuclear than she did. And she was very restrained, if you ask me. If I knew what she had known, when she found out, actually I was helping him do things that I shouldn't have been helping him do, because she had it in good faith he was going on holiday. She didn't realise she was arranging things for him so that he could have other intentions of the trip. So she isn't at fault. And she did the right thing in speaking up. And surprise, surprise, he has lost a lot of patrons. Because obviously people... I think he's now lost 100 patrons. Because I think... I haven't checked recently, but I think it's at least 100 he's lost to date. And he'll lose a lot more, of course. Hopefully he'll get his Patreon shut down. But that goes to prove my point. If people had known where the money was actually going, they wouldn't have donated in the first place. So if you've given to this individual on Patreon, you funded illegal activities. And I don't think people would be happy if they knew that. You can say all you like, it's up to me how I spend my wages. How did you get your wages? You got your wages by people giving you money who thought you were spending it on supporting your family. And then when we find out his wife is going to work to feed the family, to support the family, his wife has to go to work. Nobody's other half has to go to work if you have over 800 patrons. Believe you me. If you have over 800 patrons and you're making an average of $10 a Patreon per month, your wife doesn't have to go to work unless you have a mansion you have to pay for. Trust me on that one. The only reason his wife has to go to work is because he's spending all his wages, or a large portion of them. So the whole thing is ludicrous. Again, his personal life is none of our business. But it does make it our business when people are giving him money thinking they're supporting his family, and then it turns out that it's actually supporting him getting high, getting drunk, and paying hookers in Thailand and Croatia and any other country he wants to. And it's like, right, this is the end of it. And that's the end of him, and I don't want to hear or see any more about it. Kim and Mikey did a wonderful video where Kim said, I'm not going to say I told you so. And she said, our silence on the matter is deafening. They knew for years, they knew about him. And they have been saying on their channel about him, and we didn't listen, or I didn't listen. I always found him a bit creepy, but I thought something off about him, something creepy about him. Don't know what it is, can't put my finger on it. Maybe it's just me. But I should have trusted my instincts. My intuition was telling me I find this man creepy, I don't want to watch his videos. But at the same time, I thought, well, actually, he comes across as a nice guy. Maybe it's just me. But now I realise I was right all along. I just didn't know I was right. I certainly didn't express my opinion, because if you say on the internet, if I would have said, like, last year, I find that particular YouTuber creepy, people would have attacked me. People who now are against him, at the time who weren't against him, would have said, how dare you speak out against him? He's like the greatest thing since sliced bread, blah, 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 blah. I can imagine it now. So I didn't tweet anything about it, but I'd found him creepy. Anyway, I was very angry. And still am. Very, very angry. As I say, he didn't wake me up. Some other people woke me up, mostly people like JT and Lady C. And there's some other people that don't make videos on YouTube anymore that also contributed to my waking up. The icing on the cake for me was actually reading a scripture in Deuteronomy 18:20-23 and comparing that with the hypocrisy within Watchtower. That was the icing on the cake for me. It was about the false prophecy of Armageddon dates that they've published in their articles. Anyway, I've waffled on way too long. My next video is going to deal with the plans we have to go to a city in the UK to do some street activism. And that doesn't mean to say I'm going to get a loud... I'm not going to get some megaphone and start shouting, "Do not listen to Jehovah's Witnesses." I'm not going to do that. We're going to have a trolley like the Jehovah's Witnesses use. And we're going to put leaflets in the trolley explaining to people the real nature about Watchtower and the secrets that Watchtower want to keep from the public, because the public has the right to know. So we're going to have that, and then we'll take photos which will be uploaded to our Instagram account. I'm not going to say which city it is. It won't be Chelmsford, because if I say which city it is, Watchtower are going to try and close us down, and I don't want that. They'll try and make trouble for us. So yeah, we're going to be doing that. We're going to be putting a trolley up there and videoing it and taking pictures, and I won't be in front of the trolley, but my friend will. And I think you're going to see an interesting reaction. I hope so. It's going to be an interesting experiment. We'll see how many leaflets we shift. But yeah, they're going to be leaflets that don't hate Jehovah's Witnesses. They simply tell people what's wrong with Watchtower. That's what the leaflets do. So thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoyed our little audio-only podcast that I did today. Got lots of things in the pipeline. A book's coming out called Evidence the Truth Is Not True. And I'm hoping that BVJW... Well, yeah, I'll leave that for another video. But yeah, anyway. Lots of work to do. The HLC are still bullying people in hospital to not accept a blood transfusion, weaponising their family against them through the blackmail of shunning. And the NHS trusts hospitals just to let them do that. There's 4,000 names on a database in Chelmsford that the authorities should be getting hold of to do with criminals in the UK. 1% of Jehovah's Witnesses in the UK are criminals at large. 1%, you might think, oh, it's only 1%. Well, no, that's a lot. And yeah, there's so many things that need tackling. Jehovah's Witnesses shouldn't be a charity here in the UK. They don't qualify. And yet HMRC, just open arms. Yes, you can be a charity. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day.